Hey everyone, it's Michael GoosebumpsFan. Today we're going to be talking about another Goosebumps TV episode, and this is going to be a review, of course, Goosebumps episode review, whatever you want to call the title. I have some of the information about this episode brought up on my phone from IMDb, because I like to have some little bits of information here to talk about, because there's some interesting things, especially about certain episodes of Goosebumps from back in the 90s, and this is a great example. But we'll slowly work our way into this review. Firstly, this review is for The Perfect School. Of course, for whatever reason, this is a two-part episode. You have pretty much a whole 40-minute long episode. They both came out on the same day. They premiered the same exact day. It was actually November 15th, 1997. And these were Season 3, Episode 11 and 12. The Perfect School actually stars Sean Roberts playing the main character, who also happens to be Albert Wesker from the Resident Evil films. Yeah, Wesker is in this. When I saw the picture, I about died. I thought that was super weird. Of all things on the planet that guy could be from, because he looked familiar to me. And now I know it's because he's Wesker in the Resident Evil films. As bad as they are, at least he was okay. But anyway, for anybody who doesn't happen to know, The Perfect School, it also comes from, it was actually a short story in the Even More Tales to Give You Goosebumps books right here from R.L. Stine back in the day. I feel like my camera is really blurry. It's either my eyesight or my camera, one of the two. So if there's a little bit of blurriness, forgive me. But yeah, it was a short story in here. I looked back over the short story just to make sure I kind of could recollect my thoughts. It's been probably 3 or 4 months since I've read this actual book, so I didn't remember a whole lot about this. Of course, I've owned the episodes on Vudu for quite a while now. I just never got around to watching it. I don't know why, I just didn't. Never really felt the urge to rush out and go ahead and watch it. But I did, finally. I watched the two-parter, and it wasn't very great. It was okay. It wasn't great. Kind of the same way I feel towards the short story itself. The short story is really not all that great either. The biggest attraction to either of these, the TV episode adaptation or the short story from the original book, the biggest attraction I would say is that if you're more of an R.L. Stine fan, like of his writing style, his very humorous way of telling stories, the very sassy way that he ends the short story itself, you might want to read the short story instead of watching the TV episode, because the TV episode is more for people that I think love the 90s charm of the old TV show. So you can get pretty much whatever you want either way you go, but they're not the same entirely when it comes to content and the tone and just the feeling of the whole thing. They're mostly the same thing. Mostly. The intro to the episode is very much different from the old short story. It's actually a little wild and a little dark for a kid's show. Essentially, there's a young boy named Riley who is cowering under his covers in the middle of the night because there's a storm going on outside. A lot of thunder and stuff. And all of a sudden the power goes out at his house. Apparently his brother is staying with him that night to babysit him while the parents go out for like a date night to try it out because they want to start going out more. And Riley starts freaking out and apparently starts hearing somebody come upstairs. We actually find out that somebody had turned the lights off down in the basement because we saw a gloved hand actually turn the power off on the generators and stuff downstairs. The power box. I don't even know what to call that thing. I know what it is, but I don't know what to call it. I'm sorry, I'm stupid. The person that's coming up the stairs, we also happen to see has a ski mask on, so we assume that it's probably a robber. It turns out it's Brian O'Connor, aka Wesker, from Resident Evil. And he's a very bad kid. You know, his parents come in, they actually find him with the ski mask on and stuff, and they bust him. So they essentially say, okay, look, you're not going to babysit your brother anymore, but you're also going to go off to a boarding school called The Perfect School and learn to be a better kid for a couple of weeks. When Brian gets out there, it's kind of a weird place. You know, on day one kid that makes a weird joke essentially gets taken away and then he's gone. And then when he comes back, he acts like a robot, basically. He's a very odd, very creepy person. I would say the episode itself, even with some of the side actors, you do have 2 other kids in here that are really kind of prominent in the episode itself. You have Daniel Lee, who is actually very good. He plays a character named CJ. You also have another person named J.J. Stalker, who I thought was a little weird because he played in Phantom of the Megaplex, which I reviewed in October, which I love to death. It's one of my favorite Disney Channel original movies ever. It's fantastic if you haven't seen Phantom of the Megaplex. It fits perfectly when you watch it late at night during October. It's not that it's scary by any means, it's more of it's a charming thing, especially for big movie fans like myself. But the episode is mostly focused on the weird happenings at the perfect school, and why are kids going missing left and right? What's happening? Brian is still a bad kid. He kind of sneaks out and stuff during the episode to try to figure out what's going on. It's not very good, frankly. It's not very good. It's kind of lame, but it's well made, if that makes sense. It's a well made episode. But how much does that actually mean when the episode itself is not really great, or even good for that matter? It's just as bland and decent as it could possibly be. Now, there might be moments that might intrigue people to laugh tremendously, because there are moments that are just plumb out goofy. There's a scene where a character is actually at the top of the stairs, and one character was actually escaping and running around and whatnot inside of the school. And the person who was sneaking around actually, whispered over to the kid that's actually cleaning floors with all the other classmates and tells him, like, hey, I need a distraction. The kid stands up in front of the guards and everybody, kicks a bucket over. Not the kid that ran away, but the kid who was originally cleaning at the top of the stairs. He kicks a bucket over on another kid, and it spills soap and water all over this kid where they were cleaning. The kid starts freaking out, like, what are you doing? Why did you do this? And the guy who kicked the bucket, the friend, points over at another random kid and is like, he did it. And the kid that got the water on him starts beating up the other kid, and the guards saw nothing. They were standing right there, like, they were looking up the stairs. How did they not see the kid stop talking and everything and literally stand up and kick the bucket? The whole thing was stupid, man. There's a lot of dumb moments like that in here. I mean, they constantly happen. We know Goosebumps has their goofs and their silliness and all that, and that's fine. But I'm just saying, there's moments in this particular episode that are just astoundingly stupid. I mean, just astoundingly, mind-bogglingly stupid. And I don't mean this to come across as like a rant, because it's not really all that great. It's not really all that important, but it's certainly not all that bad. But there is one thing in here that got to me. The tank scene. I think you all know what I'm talking about when I talk about that. If you've seen this episode, I think you know what portion of that bothered me. That thing in the tank was... I don't even have words, man. That really messed with me when I saw that. I was like, this is a kid's show, Like, not the concept of what's in the tank, but what the thing in the tank does. I don't know how to explain it. If you ask me in the comment section, I'll let you know. But I think you know probably what I'm talking about. It's just really gross and weird. But yeah, for the most part, The Perfect School is not all that great. Do I think that the short story's better? Not really. They're literally par for me. I don't think either's really all that great. I think they're just okay. It kind of seems like a filler story in the middle of a short story collection that for the most part was pretty good. Yeah, it was not the greatest episode of Goosebumps. I'm a little surprised that something like this, even as low budget as this was, just taking a kid, filming him running around inside of a school and trying to figure out what's going on in this weird school. Very low budget idea. Very much like all of Goosebumps, low budget quality, because it was always like that for the most part until you got the big monster episodes or the really high quality Timothy Bond episodes like Monster Blood 1 and 2, or Monster Blood and More Monster Blood, or Night of the Living Dummy 3 for that matter. This is just okay. I don't really recommend it, honestly. I don't think it's really all that great. I think if you're a Goosebumps fan, you'll probably find some kind of enjoyment in it, just like I did. The ending is pretty good. I actually like the ending here a little bit better than the one in the short story, even though they're pretty much identical. It's just a different way of kind of going about the ending. But, for the most part, it's not all that great. When it comes to The Perfect School, what did you guys think about it? Do you like the short story more? Do you like the TV episode more? I'd love to hear what you have to say about that. If I had to rate the TV episode of Perfect School, the adaptation of it, on a 5-star basis, I'd probably give it like a 3 out of 5. It's kind of a low 3 out of 5. I was very much on the fence about whether to give that a 2 out of 5 or a 3 out of 5, but I'm going to go with a 3 out of 5 just because I appreciate the execution of the cinematography and everything else. I think it, for the most part, looks good and has a little bit of a spooky vibe to it. Not even in a scary sense, but more in the tense setting of trying to run away from these people that work in this school and stuff and try to figure out what's going on. We've seen this type of story 1,000 times, not even just in Goosebumps, but if you're an adult like myself who loves movies and books and stuff, you've seen this story 1,000 times. Something similar to it, at least. But it ain't that powerful, man. Anyway, 3 out of 5 stars for me when it comes to The Perfect School. What did you think about all this stuff? What did you think about my review? Put your thoughts and comments down below, guys. Thank you for watching. May the Lord Jesus Christ bless you guys today, and goodbye.